Good evening, everyone. Can someone explain the 14-day test, the positive test after someone has traveled? Why would it be classified as imported when a person would have been out in the community after at least 8 days?
From an epidemiological perspective, Earl, there are certain calculations that we follow, the WHO in particular, as well as Public Health England. And if it's during the cycle in which is the 14 days is an incubation cycle, if it's within that particular incubation cycle, then it is classified as an imported case. It's simply, we're just being consistent with WHO's recommendations.
Okay. All right. Mr. Premier, just like back on December 2nd, 2016, people were not happy with the then government making the airport deal because of several reasons. What do you have to say to the people who feel like that now with the COVID restrictions in place by your government?
I will say that it's difficult to govern, but we are guided by the science and we are guided by getting ourselves to a place where we can move beyond the pandemic. That is all the government is committed to do. Leadership is difficult, but that is what our commitment is.
Okay. We're now looking at yet another major local sporting event, possibly having to cancel because of the restrictions in place on locals. What do the local sporting bodies have to do to get the same treatment as the Bermuda Golf Championship, World Tans, Rugby, Gold Cup, and SailGP?
I think that's an unfair question, Earl, and I understand what you're trying to say, but we also should remember that last year we had cricket. Earlier this year, we gave permission for football and others. So it's not a question of local versus external. Right now, we have a situation where we are making sure that we are getting local transmission under control. We're working with the BFA to make sure our Olympic athletes are training. We're going through all types of things to ensure that we can accommodate every person who wants to be accommodated. The fact is that we have the regulations that are in place. The Minister of National Security will be speaking to large group exemptions and the matters which have to be done with that. Those matters were discussed in Cabinet today, but we're going to go forward. And so there were many sporting events. You're talking about the Bermuda Championship and you're talking about World Rugby Tens. There was also football games and things that we attended at that time as well, Earl. So let's not try to, create the friction where there is none there. Things are done at the time of when there's done. And so at the same point in time that we had the Bermuda Championship, at the same time that we had the Bermuda Championship, at the same time we had World Rugby Tens, was the same time that I was celebrating the Devonshire Cougars winning the Dudley Eve Cup. So we do have sporting events. They were all taking place last year. There are different times and circumstances. Even as difficult as the circumstances earlier this year were, we approved for football to go ahead and restart so they can finish their season. Clearly, they decided not to, and then we recognized that there was also a spike. We also made accommodations so our national football team could train, even though there was an outbreak that was there. And so we made those accommodations. So as I'm saying, Earl, we will continue to make the accommodations which are necessary because we recognize that not only do people want to work, but people also want to play sport.
But we haven't addressed the start of the question, which was we have a local event, a major local event about to be having to be canceled because of the restrictions. But we just
I have no idea what event you're talking about, Earl.
Sorry?
I don't know what event you're talking about.
The Bermuda Day Half Marathon.
Oh, I wasn't aware that's supposed to be canceled. I have no idea why.
I'm just saying it's on the verge with the restrictions in place. How would they be able to have it?
Earl, that's the first I'm hearing that is at risk, and I will ask my constituent who runs that event to reach out to me. I don't believe that was a question of cancellation. So clearly, you know things that I don't.
Well, I'm just going by what's out there as far as the restrictions that are out that we're faced right now, that there's a possibility that they won't be able to have that event. I mean, you guys have already, the government has postponed or canceled the parade stuff due to the restrictions. Isn't that correct?
Sorry, I didn't hear the question. My children are outside making noise.
Okay, no worries. The parade has been canceled due to the restrictions. Isn't that correct?
I think that announcement was made as what's going to be done for Bermuda Day. So I don't think that's changed, Earl. I'm sorry.
What's that the parade has been canceled?
No, that there was going to be an event at the National Sports Center.
Oh, I haven't heard that.
That was announced over a month ago.
Oh, okay. It didn't have okay, so all right, if that's the case, that's happening at the sports center. Okay, all right. we'll look out for that. My final question would be, what is the plan for anyone under the age of 16 that may be coming for a sport or just returning from school? Are the parents or the sporting body on the hook for something that is a law that persons under the age of 16 are not to be vaccinated?
As I had indicated in my comments, we'll be releasing full details on supervised quarantine and the items around there on May 6th.
So they will still have to be quarantined.
That's not what I said, Earl. I said we'll be releasing full details on May 6th.